right, what I've got for you next, what follows is a conversation between five more experienced flushers. I set out a call to some of the communities, inviting anyone who had over 12 flushes under their belt. I'd love to do more kind of roundtable discussions like this to foster community and get more thoughts and opinions out there, more of the wisdom that is tucked away in all of these experienced flushers. So we decided to give each person about 10 minutes to sort of talk about their story, to share any good things along the way and also anything they were struggling with. And then there was a chance for everyone to have questions, respond to them, and give feedback. I made it clear that I wasn't doing any kind of leading in this particular call. So this is really like a communal effort. Hope you enjoy it. And if you are interested in participating in one of the upcoming roundtables or experienced flusher groups, drop a comment and I will get you hooked up. Great. Well, welcome everybody. Yay. So fun. Okay, who wants to go first? I don't need to be holding it up.
I will.
Melissa, yeah, take it away. Okay, hold on. Let me set a timer. Okay, go.
So I've been liver flushing since August 1st, 2008. And I am going to be doing my 85th liver flush tomorrow. No, Friday. So,
85.
and I mean, it's so weird. Like, why do we get into, I really am a believer that people should follow their body in like what they love to do. Because I love flushing. I can't help myself. I don't know. I mean, I know some people hate it, but I love it. Um, and so for me, I think the wins are I just feel like more and more resilient in my like healing journey, even though I haven't had a breakthrough yet, really. Like I still suffer from a lot, issues like constipation. My digestion is just terrible. And I think my digestion is bad because I was a vegetarian for 35 years. And I honestly think that that really depleted me and it depleted my stomach acid and it depleted my proteins and it depleted a lot of my minerals. And I honestly think that's the reason why my digestion is so terrible. So I'm hoping that because I'm back on like, really good healthy meat, that I'm slowly building back up. And in combination with the liver flushes, I'm hoping to kind of like jumpstart my digestion. But yeah, it's really terrible. So that's kind of like my struggle. And then but I would say that the liver flush is also like for me, I have a really extreme trauma background emotionally, psychologically, and that they've just more than anything else, they've like dug deep to like get out that crud, that like psychological crud that's in me. And so I don't know, I look forward to them as like this time of like regeneration. And I feel like they really expedite my physical, but even more of my psychological healing. Yeah. I use internal family systems as my main method of psychotherapy. I'm like a kind of super high level IFS coach. And so I've done over 6,500 hours of IFS psychotherapy on myself. And so, in combination with the liver flushes, I just feel like it's kind of better living through chemistry. And by using the flushes and the psychological tools at the same time, I think you can get a lot more bang for your buck. I'm also a seed oil hater. Like I really loathe polyunsaturated fats. So the hateful eight, canola, corn, what's the other C word? I forget. But sunflower, safflower, soy, I hate those. And I don't do olive oil for the flushes because it's kind of 10% linoleic acid, even if it is, real olive oil, because a lot of times olive oil is adulterated. It's not real olive oil and neither is avocado oil. Like 80% of olive oil and avocado oil is fake. So I don't want to be taking these crap fats into my body. So I use macadamia oil for my flushes, and it's very light. You can get it from Mountain Rose Herbs, organic. And it's just like, I just find it so much easier to get down. So I do half a cup of macadamia oil and half a cup of lemon, and I just like freshly squeezed organic lemon, and I love it. And since I've been doing the that oil. And since I've cut out all the seed oils and I only use saturated fats, like I just don't do any polyunsaturated fats. I don't know if you can see. Oh, it's hard to see in the light, but I used to have tons of age spots on my hands, like especially my right hand. It used to be like covered with lipofuscin, which is that, deranged fats, like those raised bumps and brown marks on your hand. And I was like, I look like I'm like, 85, which if I were 85, that would be fine. But, I'm only 52. So I'm like, oh my God, I can't take this. So when I got cut out the seed oils now, you almost can't see any age spots on my hands. Can you? At all. They've completely disappeared. It's amazing. So, I mean, I'm really very, very happy with cutting out the seed oils on my like flushing journey. I think that's made a huge difference. And also, I don't sunburn at all as a result of getting rid of the seed oils. And I just think that it makes me so So yeah, I mean, I'm just completely obsessed with liver flushing. I just think it's one of the best things I've ever found. And I started out on basically a 3 week cycle, where I'd flush every 3 weeks. That was back when I got a period, so then that was hard because it was like new moon, period. For women it's hard with all these things we're trying to juggle. But now that I'm in menopause, it's a lot easier. And I honestly don't care about the new moon or not. Now I'm just flushing every 2 weeks. So I just flush every 2 weeks, every 2 weeks. And I've tried double flushing like 3 times. Fail, fail, fail. Can't do it. It's just too much toxicity at once for my body. I mean, some people do great with them. I'm happy for them. But even I'm a very experienced flusher, obviously 85 flushes. I'll be, on this Friday, but nope, double flushes are not for me. So I stick to the single flush and then just do them every 2 weeks. Because I'm constipated, I use colonics. So I do a colonic before and after every single flush. Not everyone needs to do that. I know not everyone has the money to do that, but I also do a trade with my colon hydrotherapist as well sometimes. So that makes it more affordable. But that does really help me. So I've never thrown up. I've never, I've never had like really a terrible flush. And I think that's a lot of the reason because I clean out really well beforehand. I use tart cherry juice the 5 times, the really intense tart cherry juice, just a tablespoon a day, which reminding myself I got to do that tonight before I go to bed. That's how I prep with the malic acid. So I would say that's my overview of how I flush. What questions does anybody have?
When you say that you have bad digestion, why do you say that?
I'm very constipated and I cannot go to the bathroom without a coffee anymore.
Is your food digested though? I mean, I'm like, that's just, that's what I would, I guess yeah, that's not an issue for me. So I'm just.
Yeah. I'm very careful about what I eat. So the foods that I do eat mostly digest, but there are so many foods because I really look that I like because of liver flushes. Because you know how when you clean yourself out and then do a liver flush, if you eat some food, it'll just come through and you'll see it. I've done liver flushes where I ate mushrooms and I literally like had a bowl of mushrooms in my mouth, come out the other end looking exactly like they went in.
Yeah, that'll happen to me. Like if I do a coffee enema, if I do a coffee enema without an empty stomach in the morning, like if as long as I wait till it, like if I eat during the day and do a coffee enema in the evening, you'll see food coming through, like undigested food. So I always do them in the morning. When I do them, I only do one like once a week now, but I did them every day for a while, and just learned that you gotta let the food digest before you do the coffee enemas too close, or the food will end up coming right through you. Because it seems like if once you empty your large bowel, your colon, then it seems like things will just slide right out of your small intestine.
Interesting.
That's
Yeah, I
been
always
my experience.
Yeah, I always do my coffee enemas before I eat, so I definitely don't do them right after I eat for sure. Yeah, that would
So
give me that would give me heartburn.
I have 2 questions around that digestive stuff too. And thank you so much for sharing. And it's always a delight to just be with you and your energy. and your enthusiasm for this flushing process. I love that. But I want to help. I mean, I want us to put our brains together and see what we can come up with in terms of your digestion stuff, because I feel like yeah, you should have some relief from that at this point. I mean, or what can we do to work towards that? So two questions is like, you're saying you can't go without a coffee enema. Like, how long do you give it as a test without coffee enemas to know that?
Well, even with a coffee enema, sometimes nothing comes out for a couple days.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's really bad. And I just think, honestly, like at this point, it's been going on for so long and I've tried so many things. Now I have a naturopath and a chiropractor, and I've been doing the liver flushes. My best guess is that it's just trauma. That's what my naturopath says. She's like, Melissa, you've tried everything. I mean, I also have candida.
So you've done quite a bit. You've supplemented for stomach acid.
I take 7 capsules of hydrochloric acid with every meal.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
feel nothing, like nothing at all.
Because just between the two of bile and stomach acid, bile will slow things down and stomach acid will speed things up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking 14 capsules a day because I
Yeah.
eat meals a day. So like I'm really like I definitely supplement with hydrochloric acid, but it
Okay.
seems to have no effect. I've done digestive enzymes. I've done I mean, anything that could possibly be like an issue for constipation, like, I mean, obviously magnesium, triphala, fibers, not fibers, carnivore, more oils. Like I've done them all. Like I've been working on it for like years and years. So right
Hmm.
now I'm trying partially hydrogenated guar gum. I don't know, I mean, I'm always trying something new.
Right.
Um, I've been trying like a lot of probiotics for a while. And another thing is like something will help for maybe like a little bit of time and then it just goes right back to how it was.
Have you ever tried raw milk kefir?
I've tried every possible dairy known to man. I've tried A2, I've tried buffalo, I've tried goat, I've tried kefirs, I've tried yogurts, I've tried cheeses, I've tried multiple different types of cheeses, all like, grass fed, grass finished, organic, super all natural. Like I've tried every possible combination of dairy I possibly could, and I couldn't eat any of them or digest any.
Hmm.
Have you tried walking more? Because my friend who has constipation, she said when they went on vacation and walked a lot more, that improved her uh, constipation.
That's a good one actually. I probably should try walking more. I recently started swimming, and so I'm hoping that the swimming, the movement will help. But I bit like I do appreciate that one very much because just putting an eye on like more movement, I think that could be helpful. Yeah.
But especially walking, like, yeah, I think walking it's like the right pressure in the right direction. So you can kind of like, also there's one of the Chinese medicine energy movements I do. I don't think this is gonna be a good angle for it, but yeah, I might have to show you later. But it's like you put your hands basically like right above your knees, like on your thighs,
Hmm.
and then you like twist your body, keeping your
Hand
hands on
there.
your thighs.
Okay, I'll
You
try
kind
that.
of bend backwards. And yeah, I think you're onto something though. The large intestine, is about letting go. And like for for people who have had a lot of trauma, it's like to like release the control in order to let go like that can be a real stopping point, not on like a conscious level, but on that like just on that like visceral uh body experience. But letting go is the key phrase of that, you know, system.
Yeah, and I think it's one thing to say, "Oh, just let it go," and it's another thing to be like, "No, I'm in the 0.0000001 of like extreme trauma." So, you know, that's it's just a really intense like physiological experience of childhood captivity that I just have to keep rolling with and keep unfolding over time. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, I am glad that despite the fact that, like, because, Andrews Moritz says you can't flush if you're constipated. And that's not true. I mean, I'm living proof. I've done 85 flushes. I will have done 85 flushes, right? And I mean, I get stones out almost every single time. They don't get stuck.
Mhm.
So despite the fact,
But you're doing like a really good and responsible job of it by making sure you're doing the colonics.
yeah. So I mean, I'm really cleaned out beforehand. I prep really well. I always like, kind of follow it to a T. I will say that because the magnesium like doesn't make anything move, do use Epsom salt. I do two beforehand so that I can, dilate the ducts. That doesn't get anything moving. But in the morning I'll do one, but I don't do both. So I just do three Epsom salt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. Because you're doing a colonic on day 7 or day
Yeah.
8?
Day 6 is the flush. Is day 6 what day is the flush?
Yeah, the night of the 6th.
So the 6th I do a colonic, and then the 8th I do a colonic. So I do it like, so I'll do the flush this Friday. I'll get a colonic beforehand, and then Saturday I just use coffee enemas at home, and then Sunday I do another colonic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do a coffee enema on Saturday?
Yeah, well, I do coffee enemas every day, including the day of the flush. Some people do not recommend that because they say that it uses up bile, but I've never had a problem. And I will get a headache because I'm kind of like addicted to the coffee enemas. So if I don't do it, I get a headache and then I have a terrible flush because I have a headache. So that's not worth it to me. So one of the moderators, when I very first started flushing, I was like, I got to do this coffee enema or I'm getting a headache. And she was like, go for it. Don't worry about it. And I did, and I never looked back. So I never skip a day. Yeah.
Anybody else have any reflections or feedback for Melissa?
I have Lyme disease that I discovered, like, got really, really sick about 6 years ago. And I think I was sick a lot longer than that, but just didn't. That's when I really fell apart. I started getting sick probably, around 50 years old, with really severe neck pains and stuff. Ended up with surgeries and stuff because I was not being diagnosed correctly. I had these infections, and I didn't know it. I didn't know anything about them, and of course, doctors don't find them. So, anyways, I remember, the constipation early on after using antibiotics for 7 months. And I was able to kind of work through that with the triphalia and magnesium citrate to begin with. And I was kind of able to, it was tough. It was tough, but then did parasite cleansing, which was a disaster because the doctor who did it for me didn't know what they were doing, and I had no clue. And that's when I had to start liver flushing because everything was just all jammed up in my small intestines. So I literally had to work the parasites out of my intestines in order to get unblocked. And that was a horrible, horrible experience. That's why I started liver flushing. And it was out of desperation. It was out of nobody else was going to help me, So I had to do something, and I was in bad shape. Like I could barely hold myself up to even be in the bathtub or anything like that. But the reason I still liver flush is because my very first liver flush revealed amazing things to me. After I did lose stones, I lost a bunch of green and gold, like jewel looking stones. And then later in the day, I did a coffee enema thinking my gallbladders, my liver's ducts are dilated. This was just my own thinking. I had no idea what I was doing. And did a coffee enema like in the afternoon, and an ocean of black, and then followed with a red river of bright red fluid flowed out of me twice as the coffee enema came out. And it was mind blowing. It was like solid black, pitch black water. It wasn't see through or anything. It was like black, like on our phones here that we're looking at. And then a river of red just flowed down it, and it wasn't looked like blood. It was bright red, clear water. So that told me these liver flushes really do something. That I broke a dam in my liver, and a lot of the pain subsided right away after that flush. And then I continued to do one like the next 3 weeks, and then a month after that, every time I followed for a month. And after my 5th liver flush, I was able to eat whatever I wanted. The pain was completely gone from my stomach. And things were just looking good. And like, it was really nice to not hurt in my liver like that. I think I had been having liver attacks for literally years, but every time I ever asked a doctor what it was, they didn't know and have a clue. And so I was always right here in my sternum, just I would wake up in the middle of the night for years, like since I was in my probably around 30, just with horrible pain there. And I'd have to thump my chest and thump my chest. Sometimes it'd keep me up all night long. And then I would go for months without. But it always came back eventually. So I think I've had struggle. I think my liver's been struggling for a long, long time. I've been exposed to a lot of terrible toxins in my life. But my question is, what I really want to hear what other people have to say about is I've done 16 flushes now. And the last 2 I took before I did them, I took like a 5-month break because my stomach was feeling great. I was feeling so much better. The Lyme was feeling better. I really felt like it was on the up, I was headed in the right direction. And so the last 2 I did in just like a month ago, and then a month before that, I don't feel good anymore. My liver's been all messed up. I got diarrhea, which is not common for me after the one I did 2 months ago. And I haven't felt good since. And I just have this feeling of fullness all around the center of me. So all I can assume is that it was not wise to wait 5 months before doing another flush. I didn't have water for the whole summer, like any hot water in the house. So I let it go, and I was feeling good. So, what I'm really wondering about is, am I to a point in my liver flushing where things are just really congested? I mean, is it just, where do I go from here? Like, I'm gearing up to do another flush this weekend. I don't like liver flushes. They're not easy on me. They're miserable. I feel like I'm going to throw up every time. I have a couple of times. But I do prepare for them. Is there a point in this liver flushing journey where it gets really hard and tough?
Yep.
Yeah. I did have a little scare when I quit doing them for a couple months because of COVID. I thought my colonic hydrotherapist lady, I thought she closed, because everything was closed in Illinois, right? Well, she didn't close. She was on the down low, but I didn't know. So finally I was like, dude, I feel so backed up. And I called her and she was like, sure, come in. And I was like, crap. So I go in and I do a flush, and I'm on the table, doing the colonic after the flush. And she's like, Melissa, something stuck. Get off the table. And I'm like, what? She's like, something's stuck. You have to get off the table, go to the toilet. It's gonna block the tube. It's not gonna come out the tube. And I'm like, what? So I go to the bathroom and I'm sitting there, and then bonk, this thing comes out of me, you guys. It's like this. Oh no, it's so big. It's so big, it won't go through the tube. And it was like all these like stones all bunched together, like little tiny stones, but wadded together. It was crazy. And so, I mean, I do think that when you don't keep flushing, stuff congeals, stuff congests. That was my experience. And for 2 flushes after I stopped flushing, I had crazy congestion. And it was very scary. It was the only time I was really scared during my flushes, but then I worked through it. So for what it's worth, I would assume that once you get back into the hang of things and once you move through this block, I would assume that it will get better and you'll start feeling better again.
Can I just say something? Can you guys hear me?
Oh,
Mhm.
yes, we can hear you. Is this Tamara? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, Tamara.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can you see me?
No.
No. I'm sorry. The whole Zoom thing, I haven't done it in a while, so maybe I don't know. I tried futzing around with it, but is it okay that you can't see me?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. I guess just, you know, coming off of Melissa's comment with, you know, taking a break and then the gal prior too and having, you know, these kinds of issues surface. I guess that's kind of my big question and what I wonder because I lost track of the number I've done. I'm probably around 50 and like Melissa, I love liver flushing. I feel wonderful doing it. But when I do take a longer break from it, issues definitely come back. Skin issues and just overall, my general well-being becomes poor again. And so I guess my question is, you know, is this something that we're just going to have to do for the rest of our lives? Because I don't see an end, at least for me in this. I feel like I just have to keep going in order to maintain results and feel well day to day. But that's kind of a scary thought too, that there's just not a stopping point. Clearly my body I don't feel like, I mean, I feel like I've rid myself of so many stones that it's not that all of these stones were just in my liver. My body is making them, right? So I'm with, I don't know. I mean, I like to think that I maintain a pretty clean diet. But why are our bodies continuing to produce so many stones, I guess, is my question. And I don't know if anybody had any thoughts on how we can stop producing so many stones so we don't have to flush for the rest of our lives.
One of my thoughts is I recently fell off the wagon totally because I'm sugar free. And I had like the holidays. What are you going to do? Somebody gave me like some chocolate covered toffee that may as well have been crack cocaine. And so I ate it. And then the Kraken came out and I was like, eating for like 3 days. It was a nightmare. But that liver flush after that, I had like a big pile of new light green stones. And I almost never, ever, ever have light green stones. I almost always get brown or calcified. So me personally, my belief is that the green stones are the newer stones. That's my experience.
Right.
And so I could like see that I did this to myself, you know?
Right.
And so I personally feel like, I mean, I really believe that having a pristine diet that doesn't create stones, you're right. It's like, it's really crucial. For me personally, I think fructose, it's processed in the liver, so it makes sense that it's going to create stones,
Mm.
And right now, just in case anybody's interested, there's a Quit Sugar Summit online. It's free. And they talk a lot about how fructose destroys your liver. So it's it's been really eye-opening and really helpful to me to like keep listening to that summit. But anyway, the other thing I think is that when we have stones, right, our liver isn't as efficient. And so like until we get most of the stones out, that's going to contribute to creating stones. So I do think that we create stones as we get rid of stones because we have stones.
Right. Right.
And so I feel like the more we chip away and the more that we get rid of, like, as long as you're getting rid of more stones than you're making, you're making progress, you know? And then
Right.
for me, like as I flush and I really pay attention to my diet and I do my inner work, like the psychological work, because that's some of the deeper roots of why we eat the crap in the first place, right? Like
Right.
I think that that really contributes to being able to, you know, add less in and get rid of more. And then I also think that's why people go to double flushes. That's why I'm flushing every 2 weeks, you know, because yeah, like I do think there's an end point. I do think you can get to a point where you get rid of the majority of your stones. You know, it's just that for some people that could be 150 flushes. And
Right.
that's just the terrible thing about it. Like how do you know how many Elizabeth Wells has done, Sienna?
Over 200.
Yeah. So I mean, and what was she had to do like didn't she do like over 150 before she felt better?
She had a pretty slow process because the candida was making things like not move out, you know? Like it's almost like it was like netted, like webbing in there, you know? And that's another thing. I mean, Tamara, I don't know if you saw, but I recently put out a 45-minute long video talking about causes of formation of stones and congestion. And again, like I said in that video, like it is not an exhaustive list, and there's like a limit to what we know about this process because unfortunately not a lot of like funding and like attention is, you know, in the higher ups realms is being spent in this area, although it would be super helpful, right? So
Right.
hoping for more of that. But like, you know, there are such a variety of things. I think Melissa talking about too, like repressed, I think emotions, like I think we actually have to unpack and like unsuppress emotions also as part of it. And there's like a lot blocked up in there. There are things too that I think are pretty big contributors, which would be like stealth or sort of like really deep-seated infections from like especially some of the bioweapons, some of these viruses that are like really gnarly and take root like deep in all these different organs, and that includes some of the parasites that set up colonies in I think like probably a really big contributor of building stone so quickly would be different colonies of things in the liver. So parasites and viral loads, you know, and like and then the pathogens and the biome of other parts of the body, especially the gut. If those are out of balance, then they're producing toxins that are in the bloodstream that are having to be dealt with by the liver. So it like adds like a really big burden that then is going to cause things to build up in the body. You know, it's like, unfortunately, the liver is like, the onslaught is like so much higher, I think, than it like, um, is like meant to be keeping up with on a daily basis. Cause like even like our own body's like staying aliveness is creating wastes to be processed by the liver. Like there's all these metabolic uh you know materials that need to be broken down and waste products like just from breathing, just from moving things, just from you know like what our bodies are naturally doing. So then to be like having all these weird like pathogens inside of us creating toxins and then being like constantly bathed in like toxic air, water, food, you know, stuff on the skin, breathing in all these crazy fragrances and stuff, like it just tips it. You know, it's just tipped over the edge. And then
My
like
take is,
stimulation too, like just to finish the thought, like I talked about in that video too, like actually like screen time and like video consumption.
Mm.
And some of these things that are like high stimulation, they actually require processing in the brain. And it's like these systems can like overheat, you know, it's like the liver and the brain, they're like connected, the eyes connect to the liver, and it's like we can just we're asking a lot of these systems, I would say.
Right.
Go Eva, what were you gonna
From what I hear, read, and my take on this is I think I'll be doing it until I die or until I can. I'm so old and I can no longer do it because I really appreciate the quality of life it gives me. So I was like, if I can flush at 80, 90, I'll be doing it.
I feel
Well,
like that's what
hopefully
Elizabeth I feel like that's what Elizabeth Wells might say too, because like when you get to the levels where like you're getting really clear, I mean, she's like, I just feel so awesome when my bile is flowing, you know, that like I want to maintain that, you know. Yeah, thanks, Eva. Yeah, it's kind of like getting to a point of you know, how big of a sacrifice does it feel worse versus the payoff? And also I wanted to comment, Sandra, on your situation that you know, it's tempting and easy for us to blame it on you taking a break from flushing, but I want to also say that you're only 16, what is it, 16 flushes in, and that you were feeling great, and that's awesome, you know, and it's nice to take advantage of those periods of time as well. Like, I don't necessarily like encourage having to like stick to the grind like if you do feel really good because like what I've seen from most people and the people I work with, like that eventually we dig into like deeper layers, and it's, you know, you can't get to the older stuff at the beginning. So the like high, it's almost like even like, oh, what's that word? It's like the toxicity is like it can be even stronger, sort of deeper in and further back, like, you know, the emotions from further back, the traumas from further back. And so, like, it may not be, you don't have to necessarily beat yourself up for like taking the time off. It's just an unfortunate part of the reality of this process. And I also talked about this recently, like, it's not for the faint of heart to go for like real healing and peeling back the layers, because you might open a hornet's nest that you didn't know was there, and you might just be like drowning in hornets for like you don't even know how long it's gonna last, you know? And I've heard this over and over again from people who are experienced flushers, and then you get through that stage and boom, it's like, and then it's like the sky clears and you know, like something is better, but it's like we don't have control of the process, and it goes and it's not linear, basically.
yeah, I know that's the hard part is things not being linear. I, after, 5 months of like really feeling I was on the up and then crashing so hard again and being sick for this long, chronically sick, stuck on the couch for years and missing life. And I'm 63 and I don't, I've got 16 grandchildren and 7 children and like I'm missing everything. And so now I'm really struggling in my head. The longer the time goes on, the more I'm just really struggling emotionally and mentally, just trying to hang on that way. And yeah, and I almost feel like the liver flush is like I feel like I'm at this place now where I am released, where I've come to a place where now I need to heal my emotions too. Like I feel like almost like they're coming out of me, like I've healed so much with my bee venom therapy and stuff. I've seen it. I know it. It's working.
Mhm.
But now I feel like there's this layer of more emotional stuff. Like that's getting harder for me than ever. Maybe I'm just strong enough now that I can deal with that. And before I was just so sick, I was curled up in a ball on the couch and I couldn't even care about anything,
Yes.
but
Yes. 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 I think you're onto it. And that's a beautiful, just really beautiful for people to know about too, that these things, healing takes resources, you know, and especially emotional and traumatic and sort of like things that are almost beyond our conscious level, that they've been tucked away into the somatic levels because we didn't have the resources to process them at the time. So they're obviously concentrated and require resources to unpack, right? And fully metabolize in a healthy way. So I think that's a really good point. And I think that, well, just clearly from my my personal journey has like led me to that. And like almost like in the last year, it was like, oh wow, I've been so focused on my physical health being a problem, and then I'm like almost like flat, like almost like smacked in the face by like, wait, what about this entire dysfunctional like mental health area, you know? And again, I think it's like when we're ready to go into that next level, and I think that more and more as there become like a more of a cohort of like longer term flushers, I think we're gonna be ripe for a lot more like emotional work, which I'm also like working on developing to some degree.
I wanted to give this comparison. So when I do my coffee enema, I lie on towel, and sometimes things spill, and then I go and rinse it, and it doesn't get clean after the first rinse. After the 20th rinse, it's the water is already clean. So I imagine the liver is the same thing. One flush, one work. You need many, many, many.
Well, I read some of these things that some of even men are putting on the liver flush group who've done, 100 liver flushes and stuff, but they always talk like once you really get cleaned out, it's like amazing. So that's what I keep holding on to, is that there really is something amazing on the other side of this.
Now I'm listening to this. There is this summit this week of fatty liver disease, free again, if you guys want to find it. And they say that women get more problems with the liver. Also, if you had kids after the second kid, it's more distress on the liver. So yeah, we do get struggle more than men with livers.
Yeah, and the
Okay.
hormonal, we're really susceptible if we've had any hormonal interventions as well. And so, so maybe some men are going to get to the phase of like totally free and clear before a lot of the women, because it's just such an extensive process. And I don't know why it has to be like this, like just feel
Well,
like you should be able to get them all out. And
women live longer, so there's that.
Because we hold on to more things in the liver.
great. Well, Sandra, thank you so much for sharing. And I guess like it sounds like the general consensus of advice would be keep going. And
So it does get tougher, and this is just normal to like feel like to have this feeling of congestion around the middle of my body. I mean, I just feel like it's it hasn't been this way before for a long time. My liver hurt in the beginning, and when I cleared it all, but now it's more like feels like it's in my back, my kidney area, even though I'm taking good care of my kidneys as much as I know I am. I don't ever get any kind of testing or see any doctors ever or anything. So I
I
just can't
mean,
bring
there
myself to.
there are some things that you could, bring in to support you in the process. I don't know if we want to get into those now or um talk about them privately, but yeah, what would you say?
Have you tried eliminating grains and sugar from your diet so you don't inflame the body?
I eat a little bit of grain sometimes. I don't ever eat any sugar. Haven't
Mhm.
for a long, long time.
What about the seed oils?
I don't eat any seed oils. Not haven't for years.
And I guess the only other thing is like trying to I've seen a lot of success with incorporating a lot more beets and beet products,
Beet broth.
beet juices, beet greens. There's a supplement if people can go that route, called Beet Flow, which I'm just seeing I'm seeing that help people sort of like in between the flushes if you're wanting to sort of have something easier to get things
Do you
moving.
think beet kvass is fine?
Oh, and beet kvass. Yeah, I'm like all of my clients, I have them do beet kvass. Yeah.
I have a ton of that. I make that myself, so I have a
Great.
whole bunch. So I'll keep trying. And I'm doing the gold coin grass now, but I just started that like a week ago or so. And
You just need to
um,
flush. You just need to flush because we all go through pockets of like maybe you just have more stuff that's come towards the front, or pressing on a certain area or something.
that's kind of what I suspect.
Yeah. Okay, who wants to share next?
Me.
Somebody
So
else.
I'm a recent flusher. My first flush was July 13, 2023. I have done 14, 2 of them were double. And I kind of did not go with very serious health issues, but my main thing was improving digestion. I'm trying to fix fertility issues because I have a son and then I had two spontaneous miscarriages, and I'm 41, so I'm kind of like have to hurry up if I'm serious about a second child. And I did go to a fertility clinic, but I did not like their answers, and I decided to just work on it myself through natural methods. Because, for example, they could not see what's the problem, and I suggested, okay, maybe it's my thyroid. And she said, oh yeah, let's give you this drug. And I told her, I'm not taking drug that will change my hormones like that. I need to research it. I need to think about it. And when I researched it, I decided, no, I don't, I don't want to take it. Um, I've been fighting candida all my life. Around COVID, I started having depression. I thought it's middle age crisis. Because I'm from Bulgaria. I've been here for 15 years. I was really missing my country. So it was like the perfect crisis of things coming at the same time. I had the weight gain, stubborn weight that I couldn't lose, and I started having thyroid problems it didn't show so much on tests, but I could tell it's happening because my hair was thinning, my skin was drying, I was getting some food insensitivities. My sinuses have been inflamed for the last few years, which I suspect could be food insensitivities. I was getting very tired, high cholesterol. So small things that a doctor still cannot diagnose anything, but I sense something's going wrong with my body, and if it keeps going on like that, it's gonna turn into a huge problem one day when I'm older. I also had the brown spots, which was at 40, it's early to have them. My grandma had them at 80. So I noticed things were getting worse for me. I overall felt inflamed. If I touch my skin, it would be like red. Usually that happens if you were sunburned, and I did not stay in the sun. So I just noticed something's wrong. Um, and I think I got like a message from my angels to try coffee enemas again, because when I found it a few years ago, I got scared from mainstream. They will tell you, oh, you can wreck your okay, they tell you it's really bad for you, so I stopped doing it. But all of a sudden I get like I'm telling you, I think my angels told me that look into coffee enema again. And I found this group on Facebook that they shared information how to do it correctly and everything. So when I was in my 10th coffee enema on the ground in the bathroom, browsing on in the group, what else are they sharing? I saw somebody showing their liver stones, and I was like, what the heck is this? So I started looking into this, and I fell in this rabbit hole about liver flushing. And I'm really happy I found it. And I think I joined one of Sienna's groups, and she connected with me and offered me that program. I'm so glad I took the jump. because frankly, I've been open up for alternative healings, because when I was getting married to my husband 13 years ago, he got diagnosed with a kidney disease and they gave him 10 years to live. So at that moment I said, okay, I don't want the modern medicine, because I don't like what they're telling me. So I was like, let's look at other things. So I've been open up for all kind of alternative treatments. We've tried fasting, juicing, eating organic, avoiding grains, the Gershon therapy, veganism, energy medicine, Reiki, everything. But at one point, everything, it doesn't work for kidneys. It works for cancer, but not for improving your kidneys. So I've been kind of disappointed in most of those therapies, which of course they kept him alive. He's still he's still with me. His kidneys are not improved, but they haven't worsened too much. So he's not dead. But what I like about liver flushing is that it tells you can improve the function of your kidneys as well. Or if your blood is healthy and your liver is healthy, is not as much stress on the kidneys. So I kind of was thinking of liver flushes for my husband, but I said, hey, I'm also going through those problems myself, so it might be a good thing for me. So he did 5 flushes so far, and I'm way ahead of him. And I think I'm experiencing the better health outcomes so far. I think my flush my 11th flush was my most significant one. I had some bigger very, very big stones, and after it, I felt like there was, my liver just felt empty, and I felt like there's lightness in this area of me. My sinuses opened up. All of a sudden, I could smell a lot more things, which was also a curse. Because when I clean my cats, I smell a lot more. And now every time I'm doing flush, I smell my sense of smell gets very sensitive, and it improves very, very well. After a few days, it lessens, but then when I flush again, it improves again. So I guess after a lot more flushes, it will stay like that. So and right now I'm congested because I got a flu, but overall I feel like my sinuses open up and cleared from the flushes. My friend tells me my skin is that I'm radiating, I'm glowing. She says you're glowing, so my skin is clear. I noticed the spots are clearing. So I guess my digestion improved. I'm a lot more calmer now, more relaxed, not exploding for small things that my husband and my child do. I'm taking things easier. I'm a lot more happy after my last flush. I got like a sense of happiness. I don't know where from. I was very happy in my life, and everything I have in my life, I was really appreciating it. So I really like that episode. I hope I get more of these. But yeah, I wish I could flush every day or every other day if I could. So I'm trying to do it once a week or once every 2 weeks. But it's hard because you have things in your life, and then you have to make sure it's not a full moon, it's not your menstrual cycle, so it's a little bit hard to do it weekly. And also what scares me is, okay, so if I'm able to get pregnant and successfully, that means stopping flushing for 2 years. So I'm afraid of stopping flushing. Because I breastfed my son for 3 years. I intend to breastfeed the other one a long time. But I guess after a year I could start flushing. So 2 years of no flushing looks scary to me.
Can I just say, I have to go pick up my son from piano, but it's very encouraging listening to you ladies, and I just wish you the best on your amazing holistic healing warriors, all of you. And we're doing this, and we know that it's just really helpful for our bodies and bringing things back into balance. And it's amazing and it's so great that we're able to have community and talk about these things too. And so I just want to thank you so much for the time today, but I just have to scoot to get my son. So thank you for putting this together, Sienna.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Tamara. And I have to go too, just because I'm so tired.
Okay.
Sienna, I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Melissa. Bye. Well, Eva, it's so beautiful to hear updates on your story, and I'm like so proud of you, and that actually, that happiness out of nowhere thing, like that's a thing that people report, you know. And like what a beautiful thing to aspire to, having to like welcoming more of in our life, you know. And I know you also flushed your 10-year-old son a couple times, right? Is he 10?
12, he's 12, and now we're gonna do a third flush this weekend.
Wow.
But yeah, like you, Sandra, he's been having, I think, issues with Lyme, and of course, it did not get tested through doctor, but through my own research and through alternative methods. But yeah, that's why his health was also deteriorating a little bit. So that kind of pushed me to be more proactive, find things to
Yeah,
heal
definitely
out.
get on top of that. It only gets worse if you
Yeah,
don't.
yeah.
Yeah. And I totally hear you about the, like, I think you're totally gonna crack this fertility thing. And we should have a powwow about that too at some point to just check in on that. But yeah, you're totally gonna crack it, and I understand, you know, how you're gonna not flush for so long, and there are probably some ways to work with it to some degree. And obviously, the clearer and less toxic you can be before then, the better, you know, because not only for yourself, but setting it up for your child's experience. So yeah, I'm excited to see the continuation of your journey. And
Yes, and I kind of stopped testing because I got tired of doing blood tests. But I can see that I'm not as tired, and I feel better. My mood is better, so I know it's working. That the hormones are improving. So I, after all, the testament of if you're healthy is how you feel. If you're not tired, you're healthy. If you're tired, you're not healthy.
yeah, I think that's a good one too. Well, what do you
Yeah, I very appreciate you, Sienna, for putting everything. All I'm watching all your content on YouTube. I'm in your group, so I really appreciate all your sharing. I wish you lots of success. I hope you reach more people because it's very valuable information. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you. Yeah. What I love about this method is, you know, it's inexpensive, it's accessible from home, it's something that we can be empowered by. So I just know, you know, chronic illness is really only on the rise, unfortunately. Um, so so yeah, I hope people that feel called to this work can find the support and community and guidance that they need to succeed, you know?
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming tonight, and I wish you a really good night. Obviously, if anything else comes up, feel free to reach out. And I'll send you guys all the link when it's up so you can share it or watch it if you want.
Okay.
Thank you.
I didn't know everybody was going to get
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
I kind of
my
revealed a
mom,
lot.
my mom is 70 something. I want to get her on board, but I'm scared how she's gonna take it.
Have you seen the one of our live coaching calls from have you seen any of the calls with Bob Copico on them, with Bob, our 74-year-old flushing
No, I need to
guy?
work them.
I
Oh
don't
my
think I
gosh, you gotta check it out because Bob one day he's actually the dad of my really good friend who was working with me in the program, and he's awesome, and he's a teacher, and so he was like really good at like following the directions, and that was including like my program directions, and so he saw somebody who brought stones to one of our live calls, like they flushed the night before, and they like brought a plate with their stones on it to our call or something. And he thought that that was like what you're supposed to do then. And so he like literally figured out how to, and I mean, it was his first enema, it was his first everything, but he like got a colander and like gloves, and he literally came to our call and he like has a plate of stones, and he was like, so it was like show and tell. It was so cute. Oh my God. So check that out for some inspiration, or even show your mom. There's also a clip I put in public with Bob asking some questions. If you want me to get you that link, I can. But yeah, it's totally possible. He totally rocked it.
Awesome. Cool. Good to know.
Yeah. Okay, well,
We'll see
Thank
you
you.
on Saturday.
what?
I
I
was just
said,
saying
see you.
thank you. You know, we keep talking over each other. I don't know what I'd do without people like you, since I'm doing this completely on my own. I mean, I don't even have friends to talk to about it or anything.
Yeah.
It's like they say, all my friends are online now, you know, because I need the support. I really need the support, and it's a lonely place to be, you know.
I know. I know.
When
And
you're
that's, okay, go ahead.
when you don't have anyone to brainstorm with, like I just wish I could sit down with somebody and just talk, not be on a time limit or anything like that. Just sit down and just talk and get it all out, you know. Give yourself the chance to just really say what you just
Mm.
brainstorm together instead of always just being alone with all your decisions and you know and all your research that you're doing, and it's nice to have somebody to talk to about it.
You might have to be the person who opens up your friends to do it, because actually I influenced two other people to start doing it, plus my husband and my child, so four people, and they started doing it. And I found out another friend is doing it, and two other friends are also curious about it. So at first they'll think you're crazy, but then if you share your benefits, they might open up to it, and you might be
So
the
far
one.
I haven't gotten that lucky. I got my sister-in-law one time to do a flush, and it was terrible. She flushed out the most horrible stuff, but she never did it again. And
No.
you know, she's like, she looks like she's gonna explode. Her body is blowing up like a balloon, but
Mm.
that just scared her too bad, and just it wasn't worth it to her to, you know, feel that bad and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
so
the thing is, you really have to want it to flush, because it's hard and it's not easy. So it can be just try it once. You have to be determined you want to do it. But you can just share your experience, and they decide if they want to do it or not.
But that is why I, decided to launch the sort of community program, like the group program that I do, because I found out some people don't have anyone to talk to about. I mean, I literally, when I was doing research before I launched my first round, last January, I talked to a guy who said that he literally, the last person he was dating broke up with him when he told them that he did a coffee enema. Yeah. And I was like, this is unacceptable. Like you need to have a group of people that got your back and that you can talk to about this, and like and even to like, to go through that first crew I had when we were having like all the enema talks and everything, and like people were getting started with that. It's like some of this stuff, it's like it's like our society has made it like taboo to talk about, even though it's like completely natural parts of the human experience, like pooping and peeing, and these things. So it's like part of that like reclamation of our right to be able to discuss these things.
And
well,
also,
it
I
was
had I had a lot of friends. This friend being when I was questioning vaccines, so I get used to be considered crazy or unfriended because of my beliefs. I said, whatever. I'm just gonna be whatever I am. If you like me, like you like me.
Well, I would say it was a young man who I finally got in contact with after doing antibiotics for 7 months, along with disulfiram. And I contacted Greg Kirk at the Lyme Recovery Clinic in Connecticut. And he's just this young hunk, of a guy. And he's like, well, you got to start doing coffee enemas, and sent me a video or listen to a whole thing. So that's where I got encouragement to do that.
Nice.
It's interesting.
Nice. Well, Sandra, don't be a stranger, you know how to get a hold of me now, I think. So,
Okay.
um,
Okay.
feel free to, and wish you luck on your continued journey. I know it can be disappointing as we take these turns in the journey, but you'll come back up out the other side.
Also, I've noticed it's a lot of what do you think about it? Like if I'm thinking the Epsom salt drink is horrible, and when I drink it, it's hard to stomach it. But once I said, okay, it's easy, it's not that bad, let's drink it, and I drank it, and it wasn't as bad. So you just kind of also need to work on your attitude sometimes. You fake it till you make it, as they say.
I don't mind drinking the magnesium. That's quick and easy. Except when you're really nauseated the next morning, it can be really hard. But it's the olive oil and the grapefruit, or especially lemon, that's really tough for me. Like, oh God, I can't. I'm so glad when I finally get it down, and I get it down within 1 or 2 swallows. I don't sip on it.
Oh, wow. Well,
That's
I changed it with lemons because the grapefruit now I cannot stand the grapefruit, but lemons for now I stand.
Sienna. Is there anything I can do? Like, I am kind of getting better at the nausea part, but I can't say I've ever had a flush where I was able to really sleep well or anything like that. I have to sit up. I have to sit propped up the entire night. I cannot roll over on my sides. As soon as I roll over to the side, I got to get right back, or I'm gonna lose it.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to stay on my back. Can you think of anything? I'm gearing up to do one again that would help me with just the nausea.
Yeah, well, there's like two different options that it might be. One is that like you're not digesting well that amount of oil, and the second is that it's like toxicity that's sort of like regurgitated from the like power of the actual ejection from the liver and gallbladder.
I
So,
really want, because it's always like 2 hours after I swallow the oil.
yeah,
Like
so it's not right away.
it starts about 2 hours after.
Okay.
And the last flush I did, it took a little longer, maybe even 4 hours, but that was the
Yeah.
first time.
Okay. So there you've distinguished for me that it's probably not about digesting the oil. It's probably about the toxicity. And so in that case, what I've seen work the best is taking activated charcoal at that time. So
That's what I've been doing. So
so take, how many are you taking?
I have the Takasumi Supreme, and I take 2 of the scoops. They're small scoops, really, really small scoops.
Well,
Like
take take a little more than that then. And also you could have ginger, you could add ginger to your flush drink potentially because ginger itself not only, settles the stomach or whatever, but it actually directly neutralizes toxicity as well. Um, so, they use it in Chinese medicine in that way. Anyways, you could try that since I know
yeah,
you're.
if I could just get rid of the nausea, I would have this down.
And then the other thing to just try would be adding in some, if it might be about the digestion, then adding in some hydrochloric acid, um, when you take the drink.
Okay. I do have some.
But maybe you need to take more charcoal or you need to take it a little bit earlier to sort of get ahead of the nausea. I mean, really, most people can't take much of anything until at least an hour and a half after the drink. But, you know, between an hour and a half and 2 hours, make sure you just preemptively get a
Okay.
good heavy dose of charcoal in. And you might experiment with charcoal before your drink, so that it's already in the system, somewhere, and do both, you know.
Is there any reason to like even take some midway through the night, maybe? Just get some more on board even?
Yeah, I
Just
mean, take as much as you need, really.
okay.
Do you take the L-ornithine as well? Because that helped me stop feeling nauseous. L-ornithine.
L-arginine or
Ornith.
ornithine. Okay. Yeah, I have that, but I tried it and it didn't seem to do anything for me, so I haven't done it again. In fact, that was like the worst flush ever for some reason. That's why I didn't do it again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Can't imagine what that night was like. It's like my second flush, and it was like I had to sit like this all night long and hold my head in a bent over position, you know, kissing the ground, just like, please don't throw up, please don't throw up, not like this. It was horrible.
and I know we have issues with throwing up. Like we're sort of taught that that's like it's a bad thing. It's really, really bad. It's really uncomfortable. We avoid it. But actually, like, if the back flush and the reason you're nauseous is because of toxicity that's come out and it's available in the stomach and your body wants to throw it up, that is the most efficient way to get it out and not have to be further beaten up by it as it gets passed all the way through. So, like, the body has this amazingly smart ability to just eject it. And like, really, sometimes people feel amazing after that if they do let themselves throw up.
Actually, do you know I have a friend who has a friend who got very sick from Botox and now she's detoxing seriously every day. She makes herself throw up every day, which I cannot see myself doing that, but it works for her. So yeah, it's a powerful
Yeah,
detox.
my flush was still productive, but that's why I didn't want to throw up. Was like I already went through all of that. I didn't want to ruin it, you
No,
know.
And
if you've made it 45 minutes, feel free to throw up.
Okay.
and also you feel so much better after you throw up. So
And the
don't be
flush
like
has already worked. That's what I'm saying. Especially if it's an hour, boom. Like you can know that the oil did what it was trying to do. So at that point, you don't need to try to hold it down.
let
And
me share some
and hopefully it gets better. I do I do think that's possible.
Let me share something funny. Once I felt like I was gonna throw up this flush because I felt very nauseous, but I fell asleep and I woke up in the morning and I have two cats and both of them threw up at six places. So I was sure it was both of them throwing up. So did they take my my nausea and work and acted on it? Maybe.
Cats,
Oh,
I think cats like do a lot of what's that called when they like sort of absorb to
No,
heal?
yeah, energy.
Yeah, transference. Yeah, wow, that's an amazing story. Thank you. Cool. Well, thank you both so much. And yeah, feel free to reach out. And to anyone else enjoying our stories, thanks for tuning in. And yeah, have a great rest of your night, ladies.
Thank
you
you.
too.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Hope you enjoyed that conversation and got some good nuggets out of it. If you have any comments or contributions, feel free to drop them in the comments. And if you are interested in joining the Liberate Your Liver movement for having that community of flushers alongside you, if you're just getting started or if you are wanting support along the way, reach out to me. And if you are interested in really any of the things, being part of the flusher sort of roundtable groups, feel free to send me a message or comment as well. Please subscribe to this channel for more awesome liver flushing information and check out some more videos if you'd like. Many blessings, and may all beings and all livers be liberated. Sienna Songbird, signing out.